So I'm a psychiatrist, and it's my mission to help psych NPs learn and master psychiatry. In this video, I'm going to be sharing biohacks, things that you can do to help you learn psychiatry and increase your learning speed and how well you retain this information. So I remember when I was an undergrad, I never cared about any of this stuff. But then when I got to medical school, when I got to residency, now as an attending, I realized that there's so much more information for me to learn than there was in undergrad. And now to be able to learn it, I have to optimize all of these things in my life to make sure that my brain has the capacity to learn. And if you think about it, the brain is like a machine. And just like a machine has different inputs that you put in to make sure that, okay, the machine is running properly, your computer is running properly, it's the same thing. We have certain inputs that we can put in to make sure that our machine, the brain, works the best that it can, so that way we can master psychiatry the best, whether we're in school or we're out in the workforce. So number one, and what I think is the number one way to do that is sleep. And I'm going to write four biohacks. So this one, honestly, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. I think that we don't give enough importance to sleep in our culture. It's very cool to like hustle culture and grind and, oh yeah, I only slept 4 hours this night, and wake up the next morning and you pound the caffeine. But I sleep 8 to 10 hours a night. Every single night I sleep 8 to 10 hours. And the reason is because I know that I function the best, I learn the best, my business operates the best, I see patients the best when I've had a good night's sleep. In fact, let's say if I had to rank all of these things out of 100, what I would put sleep at is 60%. So let's say we have a pie chart, and so, we're going to cover the sleep. So I'm going to put sleep at about here. So I think it's that important personally. And I make sure that I sleep 8 to 10 hours per night. I make sure that I don't sleep without an alarm. I don't wake up without an alarm clock. I make sure I budget the amount of sleep that I want. And basically, I make sure that this is very important because every day I need this to function well. I know I really felt this when I was working in a concierge private practice and I was just seeing patients back to back. I realized that, okay, if I didn't sleep well, it was going to be really hard for me to have the energy and be really present with the patients and give them the best treatment. And so I knew that I had to prioritize this to optimize, because in sleep, this is when your body detoxes. So I'll even write that. So detox, sleep has three functions. So A, detox. B, consolidate. A, your body gets rid of all the different toxins that build up when you're sleeping. B, consolidate. It helps to consolidate all the different memories that can occur, right? So if you're trying to learn, you want to make sure that the sleep is you're able to consolidate those memories. And then C is recharge. So if you think about it, your brain's kind of like a battery. And so a lot of cell turnover happens during sleep. And so that's why people, when they get a good night's sleep, they feel refreshed and recharged. So can't overstate that importance. If you can optimize this, honestly, you'll be able to master psych so much easier. So number two, sleep. The next thing I want to cover is diet. Diet, I would say, is about 25%. Let me put that here. Yeah, diet. So this, if we said, is 60, then this is about 25%. When I was an undergrad, I never cared about diet. I would eat like Fruit Loops and stuff for dinner, and like, chicken tenders and every fries, like just random foods. And then as I got into residency and I was working pretty much all day and I was seeing patients, I remember this very specific time I was having a veggie burger for lunch, and I noticed that I just felt so groggy and so like drained, and I couldn't really talk to patients that well. And I was like, why do I feel so weird? And I kept noticing this pattern over and over again. And then I started switching up my diet. I stopped being a vegetarian at that time, so I started eating more protein meals. I started cutting down on carbs and processed foods. And then what I realized was, wow, I can function a lot better. Like I don't get that brain fog that I used to. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, the diet that we eat really has an impact on our brain's performance. So the two things that I recommend are to decrease carbs and decrease processed food. And that's because carbs, they make your blood sugar go up and down and up and down. So that's what that makes your blood sugar do that. So if your blood glucose is going up and down, your energy levels are going up and down. Whereas if you're eating more of like a protein, high fat diet, then they tend to stay more stable. And similarly with the processed foods, when you eat processed foods, it causes inflammation in the body. And so we want to decrease the amount of processed foods that we eat so that way we have decreased inflammation. Inflammation causes damage to our bodies and our brains. And so, like I like candy and desserts and things just like the next person, but it doesn't help with productivity. Like sugar, we know is a inflammatory compound. So I'll even write like decreased carbs and decreased sugar. So when I say carbs, I'm really referring to the simple carbs. So not things like oatmeal, for example, but more simple carbs like candies and sweets and bagels and donuts, all those quick digesting carbs. That's what I'm really referring to. But yeah, diet, very important. So number 3 is exercise. So this I would put at about 10%. I think it can certainly be helpful because if you increase blood flow to the brain, that helps to increase blood flow. That helps to learn psychiatry because now your brain's getting more blood. It increases something called BDNF, so brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps to increase our neurons and our brain cells. So very important with the BDNF, increases that, increased blood flow. So really important to acknowledge that as well too. But I don't think it's like the most crucial thing. Like I know plenty of people who don't exercise and they did really well in medical school and function really well as doctors and clinicians. So I'm not saying it's essential. Obviously, like people will forget all these things and still function. But if you're trying to really optimize, then yeah, I think exercise is really important too. For me, I personally like weightlifting. I like walking. So those are the ones that do it for me. But you just got to find the ones that do it for you. And then number 4 are supplements. So let's fill in our chart here. So, all right, exercise and then supplements. So supplements, I think are 5%. I think that they can definitely add a little tiny boost, but all the supplements in the world aren't going to make up for crappy sleep, crappy diet. Like that's a fact. And so the supplements that I recommend to optimize brain performance are omega-3, creatine, magnesium, and this is specifically for sleeping, magnesium, and as a bonus, so caffeine in small amounts. So I'll write decrease, so decrease caffeine. Omega-3s really help the brain regenerate. They help make up the fatty acids in our brain. So they've been studied, really helpful for mood stability and brain performance. Creatine's getting a lot of research done now, especially with our brain. And it's not just for muscle building either, but it also provides energy for the brain. Creatine's a great one. Caffeine, it can help in certain circumstances, but I don't want you to be reliant on it because it can impact sleep. Small doses of caffeine here and there can definitely help. And then if you're having trouble sleeping, if sleep isn't optimized, then magnesium can help fall asleep. Because if you prioritize sleep, then that's where you're going to get the most gains. But yeah, these are 4 biohacks I want to share with you to really help learn psych and master psych, so that way you can see patients without feeling stressed or imposter syndrome and have the confidence to do so. And the confidence comes from building your clinical competence. So I hope this is helpful. If you really want to master psychiatry, best place to do that is in our PMHNP Academy, where we had over 260 students go through so far. I really love it. So check that out. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.